Okay, so this part is going to be unrelated to the rest of the actual topic of this video. So if you are just here to see how I got to 10 pull-ups, then you can skip this chapter. So for this winter, I've decided to wake up around 4:30 or 5 a.m. every day so I could spend an hour and a half recording YouTube videos, right? The reason I'm doing it this early in the morning is because I don't want my parents to be up while I'm recording since they don't know that I have this channel. So this is something that just happened today morning. I woke up pretty early today, actually. I woke up around 3:45 just because my eyes kind of shot open and I was very excited to record for the first time, right? So I was just doing my routine, I was cold showering, I was like checking my weight, brushing my teeth, and then I heard my mom also wake up because she was upstairs. I'm sleeping downstairs because I chose to sleep downstairs so I wouldn't wake them up whenever I wake up. But it seems like I still woke her up somehow. So then I remember I was in the bathroom and I heard her walking down the stairs. And the first thing I felt was this annoyance. I felt kind of pissed off because it was just some part of me is like, oh, why is she awake? Like I don't want to speak to her right now. I want to just do my morning routine by myself and just record these videos because she's gonna ask me like what I'm doing and all that. But then I realized like this is such a nice thing to have, you know? Because I haven't seen my mom in a while. I've been in college, right? I just came back for this winter break. So she woke up at 4:30 and just to come down and give me a hug and give me a kiss and say good morning. So even though I was kind of annoyed at this and I was kind of pissed off and I was almost even a bit angry and I was considering like almost snapping at her, once I opened the bathroom door and I saw her like all smiling and like she ran up to me and hugged me, you just can't get mad at that. It's like you have to be grateful for these types of things. Okay, so that was just a nice little story that I had on my mind still when I was recording this, so I just decided I'd add it in. So the actual topic of this video, like you probably saw in the title, is how I went from 0 pull-ups to 10 pull-ups. So about 3 months ago, maybe 4, back in August, I couldn't do a single pull-up. So the year before, in senior year, I could do maybe 1 or 2 pull-ups. It wasn't much either. And right now I can do probably 10 or 11, and I'm actually doing weighted pull-ups right now. So I've made a good amount of progress, but I'm still like very new to pull-ups. So I'm giving you like beginner-friendly advice. So the first thing I started doing, which is gonna sound like pretty stupid, is I started training pull-ups. So like you're thinking like, Ishan, what the fuck? Like, of course you did. How'd you get better at pull-ups? What I'm trying to say is that I've always had this mentality that like I had terrible genetics for pull-ups and for back muscles in general. Like maybe it's because like I was brown or because I was skinny fat. Like if you're brown, like the fucking like starter pack for all brown kids is like being skinny fat, like having like the skinny arms, no chest, or just like some gyno like I do, and then like this kind of chubby waist, chubby face, all that, right? So I always had this limiting belief that like I was naturally bad at pull-ups and I was naturally not meant to have a V-taper. So then because of that, I just didn't train pull-ups. So like, what do you think happened? Of course, I didn't get any better at pull-ups. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So for the first 3 years, I should give some background. So I've technically started lifting 4 years ago, but like I think over these 4 years, I've been consistent for maybe less than a year, right? So for the first 3 years, I just didn't do almost anything related to like pull-ups or like back or anything even in pull day. I was always like benching, I was curling, you know, I trained legs sometimes, but like even that was very uncommon. And then around last year in my senior year of high school, I decided I need to start training back because it was looking a bit weird. Because like I kind of was like starting to develop like a chest and like biceps and shoulders, but like my actual torso was still shaped like a square. Excuse me. So made the mistake of starting by doing like some kind of like bodybuilding like routine where I just did like lat pull downs. So if you're wanting to get good at pull-ups, don't do lat pull downs. Those aren't going to help you. In my opinion, lat pull downs are like the biggest cope exercise you could be doing if you want to get good at pull-ups. So the point of the pull-up is to pull your entire body up, right? So you're thinking like the lat pull down, it's the same thing, but you're just pulling the weight down. So it should train the same muscles, right? Well, yeah, but it's not the exact same way, and it's not in a way that will actually help really transfer to pull-ups. Like obviously if you do like let's say like 2 years of just spamming lat pull downs, you'll get better at pull-ups, but like it's a very inefficient way to get good at pull-ups. The best way to get good at pull-ups is to do pull-ups, which sounds obvious, right? But so many people just don't do pull-ups because they think they can't. So then you're thinking like, what do I do? Because maybe you were like me and you couldn't do a single pull-up. How do you train pull-ups if you can't do pull-ups, right? So the first thing you might be thinking is, oh, well, at my gym, there's like an assisted pull-up machine. Don't use that. As this might be a bit of like, this might be bro science, but from what I've seen, anyone that uses the assisted pull-up machine never moves up from the assisted pull-up machine. They always end up staying on the assisted pull-up machine. So the biggest advice I can give you to get good at pull-ups if you can't do any right now are two things. So there's banded pull-ups with resistance bands, and there are pull-up negatives. These two, especially if you combine them, will be very useful for getting you good at pull-ups. So banded pull-ups. Actually, before I get into that, I think a lot of people have this, I'll call it an excuse, that like, oh, I don't have a pull-up bar. So you can buy a pull-up bar like for $15 on Amazon. And if you can't buy that, just go to a park. There's gonna be monkey bars at a park, right? You can do pull-ups there. And obviously if you're at a gym, there's gonna be a pull-up bar. I remember I had this insecurity, like I didn't want to do pull-ups at the gym because people are watching and they would see like me doing like 1 rep and like just struggling to do 1 rep. Just get rid of that belief in your mind. No one really, to be honest, no one really cares what you're doing in the gym. Like I've seen people that like can't do a pull-up, they're using like a band, and all the most I think, if I think anything at all, is that's good that they're training pull-ups. It seems like a weak point. Most people will only think positive things if they see you training something you're bad at. Okay? So just destroy that limiting belief in your mind. So for resistance bands, you buy these, I bought them on Amazon personally, so they're like these different thickness bands that are like different colors, right? So you just put one either like on your foot or like I do it around my knee, and then those will help you get up easier since the resistance pulls you up, right? So that's one option. The other option is to do pull-up negatives. So you know how for the normal pull-up, like you start at the bottom and then you pull yourself up to the bar? So for this one, what you're gonna do is you're gonna cheat it. You're gonna, if you can, you're gonna jump up. So you essentially cheated the rep, right? And then on the way down, you slowly control yourself on the way down. And the key for this is to make it as slow as possible. The slower you do it, the better. So the first time I ever tried negative pull-ups, this is the way I did it. I'll explain it to you the way I did it. So I did like my 3 sets of like 4 or 5 reps with like the resistance band. And then at the end of each set, I'd only do like 2 or like maybe 3 sometimes negatives at the end of each set. So each negative was probably about like 6, 7, 10 seconds max. And the day after when I woke up, I just felt so much soreness in my lats and in my abs that I never felt before when I was doing lat pull downs or just banded pull-ups. And to be honest, I think if you were to choose one between banded pull-ups and negatives, I would say do negatives. Negatives are probably the most helpful for getting good at pull-ups. So there's also a bit of controversy over like the grip of the pull-up, right? There's like 3 grips people talk about. There's like this one, which is pronated, this one, which is supinated, and then this one is called neutral. I personally use neutral. So To be honest, the difference in lat activation between these three types of pull-ups is very overstated. People try to pretend like if you're doing like supinated chin-ups that like it's gonna like only do 50% as much growth as doing pronated, or like pronated. It's people tend to overstate the difference, right? To be honest, there's not much of a difference. You can honestly choose. If you're doing this one, which is said to be the worst for your lats, you will still build your lats. It's just the truth. The only thing I will say, the choice is yours, but the only thing I will say is that for pronated, like this one where your hands are facing away from you, the only thing with this one is that it can be bad for your shoulders, especially if you already have shoulder issues, because moving like this with your arms and your hands facing this way and pulling up is not really a natural body biomechanic movement. So I'll just say if you already have shoulder pain, just don't do this one. But other than that, it's pretty much up to you. So yeah, so that's how I got to 10 pull-ups within like 2-3 months. I was just doing the resistance bands, and then I was doing the what was it called? The negative pull-ups. I think if you really implement those two and stop like doing all like the bullshit like lat pull downs or rope pull downs, I'll just say do these pull-ups and do bent over barbell rows. These two things will really help you and get to pull-ups. All right, hope this helped. I'll see you tomorrow.